Hi guys, in this one we're going to do a three-part series. So this is going to be a three-part series on my top favourite 15 cichlids that I have ever kept. And I've been keeping fish for over 30 years, so as you can imagine I've probably kept quite a lot. And it's not the easiest decision to make, you know, there's that many. I have kept a lot, so, you know, trying to get them into a top 15 is really hard. And on top of that, then when you get your 15, putting them in order is even harder. So I've done my best and I've looked over it a few times. I was challenged to this a couple of years ago by Chris Biggs, who's the mad acurist, and he did a brilliant three or four parts, I think it was a 4-part series on his top 10, and he had some belters in there. So if you've not seen that, get over there and check his videos out because they are well worth watching. And obviously I've never done it. I did look at some back then and I've pulled that list back out and I've actually changed it, to be honest with you. So yeah, I've got down to 15. And these are the final 15. I mean, this could change in another 3 months, I don't know. But right now, while I'm doing this 3-part series, these are my 15 top fish. So in this one, we're going to do 15, 14, 13, and 11. And then in the next one, we'll do another 5. And then in the last one, we'll do my top 5. These are actually in order. So let's get right into it. Okay, so number 15 is a fish that I lost recently, and I'd had for probably about maybe coming up for 2 years, and it was a real tough cichlid to keep. They were really aggressive, and I bought 6 in the first place and ended up with one beautiful male, and that is the Viea briadori. Now mine was the Viea briadori Rio Salado. I have had a briadori in the past, probably I think it was about 7 years ago. I had one that was shipped over from Cichlids of the Americas. I will stick a picture of that one as well on here. It's a beautiful cichlid. Kind of a wish list as you're going through time. There's always a little wish list in the back of your mind. The briadori was on mine and I got the opportunity to own this fish. I got him from Wharf Aquatics. And like I said, I ended up with one nice male. It was a real slow grower. He was really aggressive. He killed some of the other ones, and he then went through a really good growth spurt, and I think I got it to around about 8 inches. Now, it would have grown a lot more than that, but the other thing with this fish was as it grew, it got better, and as it aged, it got better. It was stunning. And the mad thing is, right, when I lost it in that wipeout at the beginning of the year, I was more gutted about losing that fish than any of the other fish that I lost. And don't forget, I lost my extra spear as well. So as you can imagine, you know, the time and effort that I put into it, and I just love that fish, to be honest. And yeah, that is number 15, the Viea briadori. Number 14 on my list is a more common kept fish, and it's a fish that has been in the hobby as long as I can remember. And probably, if people keep American cichlids, they will have probably kept this fish at some point. I always say that a pair that I owned probably around about 6 years ago now were the nicest pair I have ever seen, and it's the Jack Dempsey cichlid. Like I said, a bread and butter, more common fish, but a fish that packs a punch, pardon the pun, but it's an amazing fish. Like I said, loads of people have kept it, but going back to what I said, I had an amazing pair that used to breed for me regular basis, and they were stunning, and I can't remember what happened to them now. I think I sold the tank that they were in and they went with the tank, and I absolutely regretted it. And I think I said for many years after, the one fish that I regretted getting rid of, and I got rid of a lot of fish through lockdown and just after, the one fish that I regretted most getting rid of was those Jack Dempseys. They were absolutely stunning. Honestly, you tell me if you haven't kept a Jack Dempsey and you keep cichlids, and I'll be very surprised if I'm honest with you. Anyway guys, the next one on the list is, I will say, the pike cichlid, and the one that I've kept the most of is the red atabapo. And I did, as you know, have the lenticulata pike for a very small space of time. Now, I would say the lenticulata pike is my favourite pike, but I haven't kept that as much as I kept the red atabapo. So I absolutely love the pike cichlid, and if I had a monster tank, the first fish I would consider keeping is a pike cichlid. They are so stunning, they're so streamlined, some of them look magnificent, and I'll tell you something, there isn't a pike cichlid out there that doesn't probably look magnificent, if I'm honest. But yeah, that is absolutely on the list. That leads me to number 12 on the list. And number 12 on the list, I think a lot of you would have probably thought this would be higher on my list, because it's a fish that used to feature quite a lot on this channel, and I always had this obsession with trying to get a pure type of this species, and that is the Midas stroke red devil. So I'll stick them both in there because the ones I've had have obviously been my devils, but I always wanted to keep a pure strain of Midas or a pure strain of red devil, particularly the red devil with the big lips. I really love them, and I would have loved to have kept one of them. But they are low down on the list because when I sat down and did this list, the other fish on that list are just higher up than them, and I couldn't believe it myself when I read it. Number 11 on the list is a fish that I actually own right now, and it's a fish that I've owned a few times throughout the years, and it's probably seen, I think a lot of people would think that this would be the most aggressive South American cichlid out there. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying that I think if people were picking who didn't keep them or didn't know about them, would probably say this might be the most aggressive, or even maybe get it mixed up for a Central American, and that is the true parrot cichlid. This is a beautiful fish, and I don't know if you seen my video the other day when I was in Urmston Aquatics, they have got an absolute belter, which is pretty big and probably the nicest one I've seen. They are a stunning fish, and one that I think as well would, if you were doing big tanks like talking about the pike cichlids, if you did a big tank with a shoal of these, oh my God, it would look fantastic. I love the way they just sit under the rocks and they're looking for prey. They're brilliant. What a fantastic fish that is. And that is the roundup of today's fish on this top 15. So let's just recap. The Briadori, the Jack Dempsey, the pike cichlid, the Midas, and the true parrot. They're the first 5 fish on this series. They are 15 to 11. So we are going to do honourable mentions in this series as well. Every video that we do, we will do one honourable mention. And this honourable mention goes to an African cichlid. I think it's the only African cichlid that I've ever kept. This was one that I was really serious about, and it's the buttercofferi. So this is an unbelievable fish. It looks unbelievable. It's one of the nicest looking fish out there. Now, I used to have a local fish shop. I used to go into a local fish shop many years ago, and he used to have a big, massive Malawi tank. And this buttercofferi just used to sit in the corner of the tank, and this buttercofferi must have been about 10 inches. And while I was going in that shop over a period of time, that buttercofferi left that shop probably 6 times, and 6 times it came back. And what I realised was it was American cichlid keepers that were taking it and putting it in their American cichlid communities, and it was bashing hell out of everything, so they were bringing it back. But when it was in this Malawi tank, it didn't bother anything. It just used to sit in the top corner. And that was a fish I got fascinated with. And then the same fish shop, not long after, I took a pair of buttercofferi in, so I bought them and took them home, and wow, they were aggressive. There was no way I could have had any other fish, but I did get them to spawn. I got them to wrigglers, but I never really raised any of the fry, so that was a real interesting fish. And yeah, that is more than worth an honourable mention. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what you think of my choices. Let me know what you think your number 15 to 11 would be if you was to pick a top 15 favourite cichlids that you've ever kept. And I want to say a massive thank you as always. And in the next video, we will do the next section, part 2. Right guys, that's me. I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you all on the next one.